Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Dear all, welcome to our sixth lecture. I welcome you all on behalf of Swaramprabha Channel 15. This is Dr. Angan Gupta, and I'm an assistant professor of with Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham, Bangalore campus, with the Department of Management. So today we'll be discussing about theory of production, and these are part of the theory of forms. And this we will have total two lectures on this theory of production. Today we will discuss about the short run version of the theory of production, and in our next class we'll discuss about the long run versions of the theory of production. So before today, during the last five classes, we have discussed about what is economics, the consumer behavior, how a consumer derive their demand, the concepts of utility, reveal preference theory, um, then how a consumer decide that if they are given two commodities, how they choose between two commodities, and with the budget constraint, and how they given a price of particular commodity, how they decide on a particular quantity of a particular commodity based on a stated price. So that is demand, theory of demand. And then the theory of supply, that how the price and the supply of a particular commodity is determined by the producer or the supplier. And we have also discussed about the elasticity, that how demand and supply changes with price, changes with income, and for different types of commodities. So today we will start learning economics from the point of view of producers, as till now we have largely kept ourselves discussing the consumer side. So here we are going to discuss theories of production, and before that I will first tell you about what is theory of firm. Theory of firm is talks about how a firm makes cost minimizing production. That means they have certain constraint, and the constraint is the cost or the budget over here. So the cost minimizing production decisions, and how the firm's resulting cost varies with its output. That means, given the cost, how much production they can make. So either in terms of given a cost, maximize the production, or in terms of that how given a production they can minimize their cost. In both the ways, if either given the cost structure they are maximizing the output, that in one way is optimizing, that is finding an efficient choice. Whereas if they are minimizing the cost for a particular production, that's also an optimization, right? To find a best possible solution, to find a possible choice. So the production decisions of firms, a firm is an unit in a particular industry, which produces certain goods and services. So the production decisions of firms are analogous to the purchasing decisions of the consumers. So we have learned from our previous class that the demand and supply are in equilibrium in a market, if there is a shortage, that means excess demand, or if there is an excess supply. So if there is shortage or supply, the there will be this will indicate to that there is either a higher price or a lower price. So if there is a shortage, if there is a higher demand than it is being supplied, then the price is too low, right? If there is a lesser demand than it is being willing to supply, then there is a high price, because if the price is higher, a supplier would like to supply more, right? So there is an excess supply. If there is an excess demand, the price is too low, because in that low price, a producer will not be willing to supply more, whereas the consumer would like to consume more. And then that the bargaining happens, and then the supplier and the consumer, they interact, and finally they find an equilibrium where exactly the amount the supplier wants to supply or produce, the consumer has the same amount of demand, and they can find an equilibrium price where the transaction finally takes place. So, coming here, we would like to again explain based on that point that production decisions, the amount of production decisions of the firms are analogous or similar to the purchase decisions of the consumers, or the price they are willing to sell their commodity should be equal to the price in an equilibrium. Like as whatever we have studied till now, there are certain exceptions. So analogous to the purchase decisions of the consumers, that whatever price they would like to pay for that particular quantity of the commodity. Yes, and the production decisions can be understand can we can understand the production decisions in three steps. One is the technology in which it is producing. It can be capital intensive, it can be labor intensive. We'll talk about capital intensive and labor intensive later. There are cost constraints, that they have a certain budget and then they want to produce based on the budget and whatever maximum they can produce given that budget. And finally the input choices, how do they produce. So it's nothing but the inputs are converted to outputs, right? Inputs are converted to outputs through the production process. Yes, and what are the costs? The cost is the several several costs that is spent behind these resources, such as if I hire labor, if I get some machineries, the operational cost, cost of the building, cost of the security. There are several costs, right? So all this together, everything, whatever we are using for the production, can be considered as a as input, and there are different mixes of inputs. There are different choices of inputs to produce certain things in certain quantities, and the costs are associated with the different choices. We'll learn about that, and finally, the technology comes into play. So, a production is a process that creates value or utility, that creates or adds value or utility to a particular product. Like if I am teaching you, so this is also a production process. I am creating utility, satisfaction through my teaching, through the services. If someone is cultivating rice, so they create value or add more value to my plate of food and create some satisfaction to me, because I get food because he is cultivating that, farmer is cultivating that. Yes, someone gives me fish, the fisherman, and I am getting the fish. And when they go to the river or the sea to get the fish in my plate, so he is creating or adding value to my satisfaction, or adding value to a certain production process further. All right. So this is how a production process is something which creates or adds value or utility to a either to a commodity or to a particular individual who is the end consumer. There is a process in which the inputs, as I said in the last slide, are converted into outputs. Now, what are the inputs? There are primarily four kinds of inputs: land, labor, capital, and technology. Land, labor, capital, and technology. Any goods and services which are finally produced using these three or four types of inputs, they will be called as outputs. Any goods and services, such as it can be the rice, it can be a car, it can be a television, it can be a program in the television, like say Swayam Prabha is producing this output, these lectures, right? I am delivering the lecture. There is a whole team working behind it. So those who are taking it in front of you, bringing it in front of you. So this is a service. The television you are watching, that is a product, a goods, a commodity. So using these inputs, land, labor, capital, and technology, any goods or services that are produced or manufactured will be called as outputs. So a production function is a functional relationship between the inputs, the vector, the range of inputs, and the output these are producing. So the theory dealing with these relationships, this association of different types of inputs, which are also known as factors of production, to produce certain goods and services or certain amount of goods and services is known as production function and often stated as Q, quantity equals function of K comma L. This K is capital, L is labor in a two input framework where we will consider just two factors of production. We do not consider the land here. Land can be considered as capital, and generally we consider technology is fixed given the technology. So even if we have four types of inputs: land, labor, capital, and technology. Land and capital goes as capital, labor is L, land and capital is K, and technology is given. So technology over here is fixed. So which are these factors of production? These factors of production, such as land, will be all those which are natural resources. It's not land means land, zamin, no. Land, it can be any source of natural resources. It can be water, it can be air, it can be any natural resources are generally considered as land. Labor is any mental and physical effort by a human. So over here I'm teaching, so it's a mental effort, it's not a physical effort as such. So any mental and or a doctor who is just sitting in his chair and giving you suggestions or consultation. So that is also a mental effort. So a mental and a physical effort by a human. Capital is man-made resources used in production process. Any man-made resources, it can be a robot, it can be a crane, it can be a car, it can be a building, it can be anything which a human has made and now being used for the production process. That is capital. And the organization is finally, so over here we are not discussing about technology. The organization here is finally the entrepreneur who has started the business or started the production process, and the coordinator, all anyone involved in the managerial position who probably um, do not take a direct part in the production, but organizes all these inputs and maneuver through them. They manage the entire production process, its operations. So that system is known as organization. So here in economics, whenever we'll be discussing about our basic microeconomics, we do not really talk about organization theoretically, but yes, empirically, several research takes organization into account when they talk about factors of production, the efficiency measures, so on and so forth. There are two types of production process or production function based on the time period. It is very important in decision making that how long time you are getting to make certain decisions in terms of your production process or inputs or outputs. These two are short-run decisions, long-run decisions. Now, a short-run decision is not something which is for 5 minutes or one day. You cannot really state like that. Similarly, a long-run decision cannot be 100 years or 30 years. You also cannot state like that. So these short-run and long-run decisions depend upon, firstly, which product you are producing, which service you are producing. And every product or service has its own time to be completed, like to produce a pen and to produce a helicopter or a ship, yeah, or a so it has different time periods involved to get completed, right? To complete the entire production starting from the scratch. So on which basis we decide or determine the short-run decisions and long-run decisions? That is on the number of inputs we can vary. So in short run, it is a time period over which the firm is not able to change the quantities of all inputs. In short run, the time period is something which or where the firm is not able to change all the inputs or all the quantities of all inputs. At least one input is fixed. All right. Whereas if we are considering only two inputs, then one will be a variable input and the other will be a fixed input. One will be a variable input and the other will be a fixed input. In long run, contrary to the short run, you can vary all the inputs. In long run, contrary to the short run, where at least one input you cannot fix, it cannot change, that is fixed. In long run, you have enough time to change to change the quantities of all the inputs, and they are variable. You can drop one variable, input, you can add inputs. So you have a lot of flexibility over the long run as compared to short run. So there are, as I said, two types of inputs, fixed input and variable input. In long run, all the inputs are variable. In short run, at least one input is fixed. It can be more, but at least one has to be fixed input. So under the fixed inputs, it remains the same in the short period. In the longer period, that fixed input can also vary, right? So in the short period, you cannot change that. That is fixed. Everything else can change. Right? At least one is fixed. But in the long run, when the short period becomes longer period, you have that flexibility to change this input as well. At any level of output, the amount of this particular input remain constant. Now in short run, you prepare, like you have decided that you have only one kitchen and you have two chefs, two cooks to prepare biryani. Yes, you have one kitchen, one stove, and you have two chefs. In short run, let us assume that the kitchen is a fixed input. You cannot readily in a day or two, if some order has come to prepare, say in a day you generally prepare 30 plates biryani. Suddenly one birthday order has come and you want to prepare 60 plates of biryani, and you cannot increase one extra kitchen. You cannot add one extra kitchen. And hence your kitchen is fixed input. So what you can do, you can probably increase the number of stoves, you can hire two more chefs. They are your variable inputs. But if you understand that from next year onwards, on 2 months, after 2 months or after 1 month, you are going to have 100 orders every day. You are doing really well. Yes, and to run with one kitchen is being chaotic and it is not sustainable. But next day, for the next day, within one day, you cannot increase the number of kitchen. But 1 month is a longer term, so you can hire another kitchen, right? And you now have two kitchens. And hence, in 30 days time, you can also make this fixed input as a variable input. And in that way, in those 30 days time, that becomes your long run, and where you can change all the inputs. So whatever the number is, now you can make 100, you can make 120 as 60, 60, 120, you can make just 70, whatever the output is. Similarly, the fixed input, in terms of the fixed input, you do not make biryani one day, but you have one kitchen. You make 20 biryani, you make 40 biryani, your kitchen number is same. You can only change the number of chefs. So the cost, because the kitchen number is same, so the rent you are paying, the cost of that kitchen is same. So it is known as fixed cost, such as building, land you have taken, as I said, kitchen you have taken. If you are paying 5,000 for that kitchen or a shop, so that is fixed. Whereas the variable input is, in the long run, all factors of production may vary based on the output. The output is increasing, you can change the number of inputs. The output is decreasing, you can also change the number of inputs. So all the inputs vary with the output, right? And hence all the costs associated with those inputs, that means price for those inputs, you are buying or taking those inputs on rent, so you are paying something, right? So whenever you are paying against those inputs to get those inputs for your production, they are your variable cost, right? Which changes with output. We'll discuss about more about on variable cost, fixed cost, and all in our next to next class, when we'll be discussing cost as a part of theories of form. And which are those variable inputs? Raw materials. If I say, if I need 2 kg of rice to prepare 10 plates of biryani, right? For 20 plates of biryani, I will require 4 kg of rice. For 30 plates of biryani, I will require 6 kg of rice. Where for 5 kg of 5 plates of biryani, I will require 1 kg of rice. And it is varying, right? With the number of plates, my quantity of rice, that is my raw material, is varying. Similarly, if I will need to produce 20 plates of biryani one day, one cook is enough. But if I need to produce 30 or 40 plates of biryani in one day, I need two labors. So that number of labors you require to produce something, that is also changing. And hence, these are the variable inputs which change, which vary with the number of output. What is average product of labor? The average product of labor is the output produced 1 unit of labor. So here you can also state that average product of capital, that is output per unit of capital. Here output per unit of labor. This is just taking an example. So average product of labor, and you see the labor is in suffix, so average APL. So output per labor, and it can be any input, output per capital. So over here I will write APK. Yes. And what is APL or APK? This is total product produced with whatever number of labor or capital divided by total number of labor or capital. If the number total product divided by total number of labor, then it is Q by L, average product of labor. If the same thing is total product divided by number of capital, then it is APK, that is Q by K. All right. Q is the total production, L is total number of labor, K is total number of capital to produce that particular unit of output, whatever is Q. What is marginal product? In our last class, we have discussed in the previous classes, one of the previous classes, the marginal is nothing but incremental. Yes, the change. In the marginal utility, we have learned change in utility. Marginal is change. So marginal utility is change in utility. It's not the end of the story. It's just half of the story. Intermission, the break of the movie. The next and the most important part is it's not only change in utility, marginal utility. The change is happening because of change in something. Now, what is the change? The change in consumption. So, what was marginal utility? The change in total utility divided by the change in consumption, or 1 unit extra consumption of a good or service. Marginal utility of Apple was change in utility with 1 extra unit of change in satisfaction with 1 extra unit of consumption of Apple or a Rasgulla. Right? Similarly, marginal product of labor is marginal product, change in total product, change in Q is the total product, change in the total product divided by 1 extra unit of labor. So change in labor. If marginal product of capital, then change in total product divided by change in capital. So marginal product of labor is the change in total product divided by the change in the number of workers hired, or you can state that how much extra production I will make with 1 extra input or 1 extra unit of labor, or how much production I will make extra additionally when I hire 1 extra unit of capital. Right? That is marginal product of labor and marginal product of capital. So tell us the rise in output produced when one more worker is hired, leaving all other inputs unchanged. So I am not here increasing both labor and capital simultaneously. Here, if I am increasing labor, all other things like say capital, technology, everything else remaining same. Over here, let us understand it's a borrowed table. Here it gives an idea of a hypothetical production process where you can see the amount of labor is changing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whereas the amount of capital is fixed on 10. Right? 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. The total product is changing. So when we did not have any number of labor, we just had capital, then how many we were producing? Let us assume that the total product was 0. However, when we are adding 1 extra labor, our total product increased to 10. When we were having 2 labors, then the total product increased to 30. 3 labors, 60. 4 labors, 80. And hence, you see with extra 1 unit of labor, our total product is increasing till here, 7 and 8, where 112, 112. Right? After that, this total product is decreasing. 100 from 8 to from 7, with 7 labor and 10 capital, the total product was 112. With 8 labor and 10 capital, it did not increase further. With 9 labor and 10 capital, it decreased. With 10 labor and 10 capital, it further decreased. Yes, so what do we observe? We observe that when 0 to 1, the average product is, so how do I estimate the average product first? Total product divided by the total labor. So the average product was total product Q divided by 1. So 10 divided by 1, 10. Total product was over here for 2 labors. Total product was 30. 30 by 2, 15. With 3 labors, total product was 60. 60 by 3, 20. So this all is average product for labor. Q divided by L. So I am dividing 10 by 1, 30 by 2, 60 by 3, 80 by 4, and then it starts falling. So first it was increasing 10, 15, 20, 20, and then it starts falling. So 95 by 5, 19, 108 by 6, 18, and then it starts falling faster, whatever. What is marginal product? Marginal product is change in quantity. Over here, we are not looking at the change. Over here, we are just doing the total product divided by the amount of labor. No change. In marginal product, we have learned that it's the delta. Delta stands for change. Change in quantity divided by the change in labor. So what do I observe? I observe that for the marginal product at 1, the change in quantity delta Q is 10 minus 0 divided by change in labor is 1 minus 0. So 10 minus 0 divided by 1 minus 0. 10 minus 0 is 10. 1 minus 0 is 1. So 10 divided 1. So delta Q is 10 minus 0. Delta L is 1 minus 0. So 10 minus 0 is 10. 1 minus 0 is 1. And 10 divided by 1 is 10. The next step, total product moves from 10 to 30 with 1 extra unit of labor. So in the denominator, delta Q is 30 minus 10. 30 minus 10 is 20 divided by 2 minus 1 is 1. So 20 by 1 is 20. Further, 60 minus 30 is 30 divided by 3 minus 2 is 1. So 60 minus 30 divided by 3 minus 2. 30 by 1, 1. So on, 80 minus 60 divided by 4 minus 3. 80 minus 60 is 20, 4 minus 3 is 1. And it continues. Over here, and if you see, after this 10, 20, 30 at the point 3, any further increase in labor force is causing a decline in the marginal product. So if you observe here, after a certain point, total product decreases. Over here, after a certain point, average product increases. So first it's rise, and then over here it is decreasing. Average product is first is rise, over 4, after 4 it is decreasing, and now marginal product is first is rise, and after 3 it is also decreasing. And what do we observe? We observe that where total product is being similar, even after increasing 1 extra labor force, total product is not changing. Then it is going to be 0. 112 minus 112, 0, divided by 8 minus 7. 8 minus 7 is 1. So 0 by 1 is 0. And then 108 minus 112 is minus 4, divided by 9 minus 8. Then 100 minus 108 minus 8 divided by 10 minus 9. And it starts falling faster. So if we plot them, let us, so if you see one production with one variable input, I'm sorry, I should have said that as we are discussing the short run, it is and with two inputs, two factors of production, labor and capital. And if there is only one variable input, that is labor, and then in the short run we see that production is how production is changing with the change in one input, that is labor, right? So what we observed over here is initially it is increasing and then it is decreasing. Initially it is increasing and then it is decreasing, right? So what we observe here, if you see that at over here it is increasing, it is like this, increasing at an increasing rate, it is increasing at an increasing rate. Yes, the slopes are being steeper, and after here from B onwards it is increasing at a decreasing rate and the slope is being flattened. So initially increasing at an increasing rate, then increasing at an increasing rate, then increasing at a decreasing rate, kind of S, increasing at an increasing rate and then increasing at a decreasing rate, and then it reaches the maximum and after that it falls, right? So it's I generally take this example. It's very simple. that I ask you to do a walk and you are alone walking, we're producing 10 units and you are bored here, then I add someone else to the second participant. You are getting some encouragement, enthusiasm, because now there are two people discuss and work, so the output is increasing faster. I increase another labor force, and then further it is you are more energized, and a group work is taking place, and the production is increasing fantastic. So, and it reaches to 60, increasing. So the marginal product is increasing. Then I increase another labor force, and you see the total product is increasing, but the marginal product and the average product remains same, but the marginal product is decreasing because now that additional labor force is contributing, but the amount of contribution earlier every labor force was contributing, it is decreasing, right? So the number of students you are doing group study, so you are doing alone, you are not enough motivated, you get someone else, your friend, motivation is more, another friend, motivation is more friend, your study is improving, but that motivation, additional motivation every friend is bringing, that is decreasing. And after a certain while, when you are total 8 friends, your motivation, no more additional motivation you are gaining with one extra friend joining your group. Rather, from the ninth and 10th one, if someone is joining, a lot of gossip, chit chat, the sharing of stories, personal lives, and anything, things are moving outside the academics education, right? You are sitting here, or it happens, then you are starting gossiping, and then the focus is shifting from the production. People have started playing cards, there are politics, fights, and all these things are happening, and the focus is shifted, and which is reflected in the total product, and it is not increasing further. So in English we say that too many cooks spoil the food. If you are adding too many cooks in a kitchen, and then the food won't taste that good after a certain while. So that is what is reflected. This is just the total product curve. So this is increasing at an increasing rate because the contribution of each and every individual is increasing till 60, right? You come here till 60, increasing at an increasing rate, 10, 20, 30, right? At a faster rate. So the first one added 10, the second one added 20, the third one added 30. But after that, from 60 onwards, it is increasing upward sloping, but at a decreasing rate, concave, at a decreasing rate. So what do we see? That after 60, it is increasing till 7 and 8, till 8 mostly, it is increasing, but the amount of incremental, contribution, that is decreasing. That is 20, 15, 13, 4, 0. And you see, till 112, that is still the 8th one, where it has remained the fixed 7th and 8th, it has started, it has increased, but it started decreasing. The rate of increase started decreasing. And after 8, 9, and 10, it has fallen because you can see marginal product has also declined and went to negative, -4 and -8. And so with the 9th and 10th labor, instead of increasing my output, the output has actually fallen down, right? Started reducing. So the production with one variable input, we can state that the output first increase at an increasing rate, then it start increase at a decreasing rate, reaches maximum, and then start falling. And if we plot the average product over here and marginal product over here, we see that after the third unit where they reached 60, so the first unit, the marginal product was 10, the second unit, it was 20, the third unit, it was 30. So if you go back again, You can see the first unit 10, the second unit 20, the third unit 30. So after the third unit, sorry, after the third unit, it has started falling. After third unit, then it came to 20, then probably again came back to 20, then it came back to 15, 13, 4, 0. At 8, it should touch the x-axis, let us see. And 9, 10, it will go down the x-axis, below the x-axis. So on the 8, you see that it has touched the x-axis because there is no contribution of any further. This 8 level, it has remained stuck at 112 unit, and 9 and 10, it is going down. Okay. And what we observe for average product, till the fourth input, it was increasing. After fourth input, it starts decreasing. Let us see. Till the fourth input, it has increased 10, 15, 20, 20, and after that, it has decreased 19, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10. Yes, and after 4, it has started decreasing. Right? So the observations, certain observations from here is this point, if this is noted as point E, sorry, if this is noted as point E, so the marginal product is greater than average product. So what is the point E? Where average product is maximum. So at the left hand side of point E, marginal product is more than the average product, and average product is increasing. Right? On that, the maximum point of average product, the marginal product will intersect the average product, and on that point, marginal product is equals to average product. And if you see on this point 4, where marginal average product is maximum 20, marginal product intersects the average product 20, 20, and both marginal product and average product are equal to each other. And on the right hand side of point E, we see that the average product has started declining, and the average product is above the marginal product curve. So the average product is more than the marginal product. So what we observe from here, so at point A, this is a slope of tangent, which is shown as marginal product. At point C, this is also a slope of tangent, which is on the total product. And on point C, where you can see the fourth unit here, on point C, where the slope, and over here point B is a point connecting the origin and the total product. This slope of OB will show the, this slope of OB will be the slope, average product, where I am just connecting the origin and a point on the total product. Right? If I connect, so now you see this tangent on point A is not connecting this slope. Sorry, the origin. If I am connecting this origin and point A, if I don't have a straight line now, but if I have something like this, then this will be my, average product. Because this the slope right now I have on point A, this is not connecting the origin, this is not average product, this is the slope of the total product and slope of this total product, and this is nothing but the marginal product. Any point, and on any point, if I find, say on this point I am finding a tangent, this is the marginal product. Slope of this tangent is the marginal product. On this point, if I am getting a tangent, this tangent slope is the marginal product. But if I connect, say over here, if I am getting a marginal product like this, the slope of this line, but my average product will be if I connect this point to the origin, a straight line, and the slope of this straight line will be the average product, but the slope of the tangent will be the marginal product. Am I clear? I'll again say the slope of this straight line connecting any point with the origin, not tangent, connecting any point with the origin, the slope of that point connecting the origin and the point on total product, the slope of that straight line is the average product. But any tangent which just touches, any tangent on any point will be the marginal product. So on this point A, this is my marginal product. On the point B, this is not the slope. The slope will be something like this, which will not touch the origin. So on point B, this will be my average product. On point C, ironically, if you see the tangent, it is tangent. The tangent is touching the origin, as well as this is nothing but the straight line connecting C and the origin. So this straight line is together as well as the tangent on that particular line and as the straight line. So the tangent is nothing but the straight line between the origin, connecting the origin and that point. And over here, because the tangent shows marginal product and it is the same line which connects the point C and origin, which is average product, and hence marginal product equals average product. On, you can see this is on point C, this is the fourth lever, and if you observe, so over here on the fourth lever, my average product is equal to the marginal product. So certain observations that production with one variable input, over here labor, we have observed that marginal product is equals to 0 when total product is at its maximum. So what we observe, total product is at its maximum at 0.8. Numerically, total product is at its maximum at 0.8 with 8 labor force with 112 outputs, and the marginal product is 0. So the marginal product is 0 when total product is maximum. So marginal product is 0 when total product is maximum with 8 labor 112. Marginal product then is greater than average product when average product is increasing. When average product is increasing, in that stretch, marginal product is above the average product, and hence MP is greater than AP. Marginal product is less than average product when AP is decreasing, average product is decreasing. Average product is decreasing, and then marginal product, as it decreases faster than the average product curve is lower than the marginal product curve, and hence average product is more than or larger than the marginal product. And we observe AP greater than MP, and as AP is at its maximum, MP is equals to AP. Marginal product equals average product. All right. So you can just see the whatever we have explained, that AP equals slope of line from origin, that is B and C. This is slope B, and slope C is the average product, and slope C is the tangent, as well as slope A is the tangent, and these are the marginal product. Yes, just bringing everything together. And on point 4, over here, the slope of tangent and slope of the line connecting the origin and the point on the total product are same, and hence on point 4, marginal product is average product, and on the left hand side of point 4, marginal product is greater than average product. Right hand side of point 4, where the MP and AP are intersecting, average product is larger than the marginal product. And at point 8, with 8 labors, where the output is maximum, the total product is maximum, the marginal labor, the marginal productivity of labor is 0, and then when total product starts declining, marginal product goes to negative. Yes, this can be explained by the law of diminishing marginal returns. We have learned the concept of diminishing marginal utility in our consumer behavior class, where we learned that more you consume of a particular commodity, your marginal utility start falling. That means the additional utility you are gaining from every unit of consumption or every additional consumption of a particular good or services, your marginal utility first increases and then it starts declining, right? So the marginal utility is does fall after a certain while. Similarly, over here, we have seen the marginal product rises for a little while and it starts falling after a certain while. And return is the word we use, like say diminishing marginal utility over here, diminishing marginal return, because utility is the satisfaction to the consumer, and over here, return is the return to the inputs. Whatever output you are getting, that is the return from the inputs. That output is the return from the inputs, whatever you are producing. So according to this law of diminishing marginal returns, it shows that that when you increase an input in equal amount, that every time you are increasing one input or employing one extra input, a point will be reached at which the resulting additions to output starts declining. Resulting additions to output or total product. What is this additions to total product? Is nothing but the marginal product. So whenever you are increasing your input in equal amount, let's say one unit, one lever, one lever, one lever. So 0, 1, 2, 3, it increased, and after 4, it is decreasing. So it reaches a point after which the addition of two output, the addition to output decreases. And that is the marginal product that declines. Um, production production with one variable input also states that when labor input is small, when whatever input you are getting, if it is only one input, when that is too small, no, initially the marginal product will increase because its contribution is needed, and hence at the very beginning its contribution are generally larger, and it increases due to specialization, because every single input has its own niche area, has its own specialization. So initially, when I have very small amount of a particular input, my specialization, that has a specialization, and its contribution is large, and it increases, its contribution increases. So when the labor input is small, MP increases, marginal product increases due to specialization. When the labor input is large, because I have too many of it, and when I employ more and more, the return, the output I get from it starts falling. So it decreases because of inefficiencies. The example I took, that when when you are doing group study, you have a larger group, then people start talking, chatting over mobile, they will start gossiping, fighting. In an industry, if there are more laborers as compared to the required number of laborers, then there can be politics, there can be fights, there can be um, you know carelessness. So naturally there are more inefficiencies. So the motivation to contribute decreases. And when the labor input is large, the marginal product starts falling because of the inefficiencies that cripple in with a larger number of labor force. And hence that is not also needed. So this law of diminishing marginal return can be used to take long run decisions, to understand that how far I will hire a labor, and or any particular input, and what will be the right mix beyond which I should not. So can be used for long run decisions to evaluate the trade-offs between different plant configurations. That okay, fine, I know beyond 10 labors or beyond 8 labors it does not really help me. So if I need further production, I need to change the configuration of my plant differently, such as maybe I need to involve more capital here, right? Long run decisions. Now we are discussing short run, where we have been changing only labor, keeping capital fixed as 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. If you have missed, over here you can see, so only labor is changing. It's a short run scenario, and I cannot change both the factors of production. So capital is remained fixed. But once in the long run, after the short run teaches me that beyond 8, there is inefficiency with the labor force and I should not increase more, then in the long run, that can tell me now from here probably you can, if you want to increase production further, you need to increase more of capital, not more of labor, because an additional labor force beyond 8 will cause inefficiencies and that will not help in your production process. It also assumes the quality of the variable, the labor, is similar. So whenever you are getting a friend, they are of your similar caliber. It's not that someone is brilliant, someone is um, poor in a particular subject. So it assumes that everyone can supply the equal amount of effort. So in a production process, every single labor is equally capable. If I produce 5 pins, you can also produce 5 pins. The other person can also produce 5 pins in a day. So everyone has equal capability. Equal, they put equal efforts and they are equally trained. It explains a declining marginal product, remember, but not unnecessarily negative one, right? So it does not explain. So beyond 4, you see that every additional labor force causes a decline in marginal returns, that additional output, marginal return, that is my marginal productivity, right? So the additional output that falls. So here we are not talking about, the name is slightly different, not diminishing marginal productivity, diminishing marginal returns. So from 4 onwards, or sorry, from 3 onwards, it starts falling. At 4, the average product and marginal product is similar. But 3 onwards, it starts falling. But it goes to negative only at 9 and 10. Goes to negative only at 9 and 10. So whenever we are talking about diminishing marginal returns, it does not talk about the negative part. It talks about the diminishing, the declining, the falling part, right? So, and it assumes a constant technology because it's only the labor is changing, not anything else. But what happens if the technology improves? What happens if the technology improves? So once the technology improves, we observe that labor productivity can increase, because now if I, with a given machine, I can produce 5 pens. If the machine is advanced, I can produce probably 8 pens, right? So the labor productivity can increase if there are improvements in technology. But how does it increase? It shows a pivotal shift. Let's see. Even though any given production process exhibits diminishing return to scale labor. Diminishing return to labor means if you are in, like say, and we'll just give you a small background. So if you are engaging labor, say from with 5 labors, you can manufacture 20 pens, and if with 10 labors you cannot manufacture 40, instead you manufacture 35. So you are multiplying the labor force by 2, but your production is not increasing by 2 times, then it is a diminishing return, right? A diminishing return to a particular scale. So even if it shows a diminishing return to labor, that means when you have multiplied, so it can be something like this. Just a crude example, that if you see that with 3 labors you are manufacturing 60 units, but with 6 labors you are not manufacturing 108 units, you are 120 units, you are manufacturing 108, right? So from here to here, it is a diminishing return to scale, right? But from 2, with 2 you are manufacturing 30, with 4 you are manufacturing 80, that is increasing returns to scale, because you have multiplied your labor force by 2 times, and your total product has increased more than 2 times. It's an increasing return. But from 3 to 6, it is a decreasing return. But so even if there is a decreasing return to scale, a technological improvement will certainly increase the production. And how this shows a pivotal shift, right? So if it's kind of just multiplying with a certain number of times. So with the same amount of labor force. So initially, if this is my distribution of total product, with the technological improvement, it improves with the same capacity of labor, with the same capability of labor, ability of labor. And when I improve my technology further, and I see that the production process, again with the same number of output input factors of production, and the same quality of factors of production, especially the labor force here, the only factors of production I am discussing, but the total product can just shift upwards with the improvement in technology. So see over here, with 6 you are manufacturing 50, over here probably with 6 you are manufacturing 70 or 80 with the same, and with 6 probably you are close to manufacturing 100, right? So the same thing happens with 8, you are manufacturing 50, with 8 you are manufacturing something close to 75 or something, and over here with 8 you are manufacturing 100. So with the same kind of production configuration, your production total product, your total quantity of production is just multiplied by a certain number. Yes, that is the effect of technological improvement. So we'll stop our class over here, and I would like to thank you very much. Stay safe, take care, and I hope we'll see in our next class each other. Thank you very much.